Homage to Buddha Shakyamuni, wisdom warrior Manjushri, and benevolent masters. Profound and subtle Dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we can hear and follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate all beings, please generate bodhicitta before today's teaching.
Next, we will continue discussing the praises to the 21 Taras. The praises to the 21 Taras actually consists of 21 verses. To put it simply, the content is not particularly extensive. However, if we carefully analyze its content from various perspectives, it can be explained using methods from both the exoteric tradition and the profound Tantra tradition. Within the tantric methods, there are also the significant generation stage, the perfection stage, dzogchen, and so on. Each verse can be interpreted using a variety of methods in this way. This time, we are providing the simplest, basic literal explanation from the sutra tradition. In addition, we will incorporate some well-known stories that are widely recognized in both Indian and Tibetan traditions. We will combine these stories as part of our discussion. During this significant process, I sincerely hope that many individuals will develop a truly genuine and unwavering faith in the Tara practice in the near future. This is indeed very important. Many years ago, at a time long past, some scholars from Taiwan and some practitioners often mentioned this. They felt it was a considerable pity that the Tara practice was not widely and effectively promoted on the mainland. They strongly believed that the Tara practice should be widely spread and disseminated, and that many people, whether in their daily lives or in their marriages, should be able to benefit from its teachings and guidance. In terms of wealth, career, and all aspects, receive Tara's protection and blessings. Many dedicated practitioners, after engaging in their own personal practice, have indeed experienced certain tangible results in terms of clear spiritual responses and discernible personal signs. After this, there is indeed such a profound saying. I personally also firmly believe that at the present time, the Tara practice should both be widely promoted and diligently practiced personally. In the ongoing process of one's own personal practice, of course, whether it's in the Han region now or in other diverse locations, there are also many other valuable translations of this text. You can confidently recite or diligently practice whichever translation you have the most unwavering confidence in. It doesn't have to be that only one version of the text is correct. There's absolutely no real need to completely reject all the various others. From the traditional perspective of authentic Tibetan Buddhism, for many profound teachings, including some important classical Madhyamaka teachings, there are many excellent translations by different skilled translators in the comprehensive Tripitaka collection. For example, the famous Diamond Sutra and the beloved Amitabha Sutra also have many different valuable translations available. Even the Heart Sutra has so many versions. Of course, as for the dedicated and diligent translators, it probably depends profoundly on the inherent strength and unwavering power of their personal aspirations. There are also significant and notable differences in how broadly and extensively they are able to benefit all sentient beings through their invaluable work and profound contributions. For the Diamond Sutra, as far as I remember, there are about 5 or 6 different translations, but among them only 1 or 2 are actually practiced by everyone. Some versions are basically not used by anyone. This might be because the aspirations and blessings of the translators and certain Dharma protectors at the time were different. But whether it's Tara or, as a Dharma friend mentioned a couple of days ago, I once read a translation of Tara by someone and wondered whether it should be changed, wanted to change it. I said, it's not necessarily something that needs to be changed. No matter which praise to Tara you used before, and not just praise to Tara, but any other Dharma text as well. There are always different translations, and that's normal. What we don't welcome nowadays is this. Someone takes a text already translated and deliberately changes a few words, then puts their name on it. This behavior isn't good. This really does happen, including cases where the typos from others aren't corrected, or where correct words are changed. This approach isn't very good. If you truly have some ability and produce many translations yourself, that's reasonable. this praise to Tara was actually quite widely spread abroad, finding significant resonance and popularity in many Western countries, particularly gaining traction and becoming well known probably during the 1970s and extending through the 1980s. Now, I sincerely hope that this Tara practice, with our association and institute as the main focus and many fellow practitioners, if you wish to dispel all obstacles and obtain all favorable conditions in this particular way, actually, within the profound praises to the 21 Taras, there are indeed many significant attainments in practice that can be encompassed. Many great masters in Tibet do not explicitly state this on the surface, and it is often understood implicitly, but in reality, when practicing the three roots, many of them take Tara as the main practice in their own personal cultivation. For example, when we often talk about the profound three roots, they are the Guru, the Yidam, and the Dakini. There are three distinct types: the Guru, the Yidam, and the Dakini. In essence, these three are truly fundamental. For many great masters, the Guru is Guru Padma Sambhava. For the Yidam, some choose Avalokiteshvara, while others choose Manjushri. As for the Dakini, in many cases, it is truly Tara. Some women might also wonder, if men can take Tara as their Dakini, is it also possible for women to do so? But can we women do the same? Actually, nowadays, many people do not really understand the true meaning of what is called a Dakini being. This includes when practicing the completion stage and the generation stage. There is actually no real difference in the methods of visualization between men and women. Female practitioners also have their own gurus. For example, you may have Guru Padma Sambhava. As for the Yidam, whichever one your guru has assigned to you, or whichever one you have faith in, you can choose that as your Yidam. The same goes for the Dakini. It could be Saraswati, Tara, Ekajati, or any other female Buddha. All are truly acceptable and valid. There is really no difference in this regard during our practice. If you want to receive blessings, you rely on the blessings of the Guru. If you truly want to attain accomplishment, you must rely on the Yidam. If you want your activities to be swiftly accomplished and to progress quickly, you rely on the Dakini. The blessings and power of the Dakini are indeed very great, especially for those who practice the Tara sadhana. For many practitioners, if you take Tara as the principal Dakini among your sacred three roots, I truly believe she is the most reliable and offers the swiftest, most immediate blessings. Moreover, this kind of profound blessing is extraordinarily powerful and effective, no matter in which specific aspect you earnestly seek it. Except for some karma you created in past lives that is irreversible in this lifetime. Apart from that, generally speaking, any temporary obstacles or challenges can definitely be dispelled and overcome. I think for many Dharma friends, the reason why some people, during their practice, even though there may appear to be some minor obstacles on the surface, in reality, their practice throughout their life is very complete and perfect. Some people often encounter obstacles during their practice and are unable to truly overcome these significant obstacles. Why is that the case? It is because we lack the divine protection of the Dharma protectors, the Yidam and the Dakinis, or perhaps our prayers and supplications are insufficient. In this case, this is a matter of causes and conditions. If you sincerely pray and possess unwavering faith, then their abundant blessings will naturally and truly manifest. If we ourselves do not earnestly supplicate or even approach with fundamentally wrong views and deeply flawed intentions and look down upon them with utter disdain, then it is certainly and absolutely impossible to receive any blessings whatsoever. Therefore, I hope that many Dharma friends will especially take up the practice of the Dakini teachings, particularly the Tara practice, and continue to practice it for themselves in the future. If you experience some noticeable signs or responses and truly receive real benefit from the blessings, then you will definitely be willing to transmit it to others. In fact, this Tara practice is highly recommended for many people to engage in. Nowadays, many people in society, on the surface, really seem to be quite well off in many aspects. Everything appears to be quite complete. The way they dress is fine, what they eat is fine, and in all respects, things seem okay. But in reality, within their hearts, there are many afflictions, sufferings, and illnesses, all kinds of torments. I think that by relying on the power of the Dharma, we can truly dispel these hardships, and this is extremely important. Without this power of the Dharma, I think that ordinary beings within the three realms of samsara, no matter how truly impressive, remarkably successful, or extremely wealthy, they may appear on the polished surface. In harsh reality, their deep inner anxiety and emotional suffering are especially severe and profound. Many ordinary people may not be able to clearly see this hidden truth from the outside, but if there is truly some realization of the Dharma within, then no matter how pitiful or heartbroken this person may seem on the surface, but in actual reality he is completely filled with pure joy, and everything around him is incredibly blissful and peaceful. So I always think, not just on the surface, but truly always think how really wonderful it would be if everyone had some realization of the Dharma. With the profound and genuine realization of the Dharma, no matter what kind of suffering in samsara or adversity one truly encounters, one can face it with complete composure and inner peace in their heart. Everything can be handled with ease and grace. If you don't have this, then no matter how truly talented, how highly esteemed, or how profoundly prominent you are in this world, in reality, you still absolutely cannot escape the relentless shackles of afflictions. So I profoundly believe that everyone must, through the immense blessings and profound guidance of the Yidam and Dakinis, and by diligently combining your own unwavering faith and profound wisdom, eliminate the darkness of ignorance in both yourself and others' minds. This is indeed extremely important and truly significant. The Tara practice we are discussing now is actually about sincerely praying with devoted faith. If you pray, she will often provide steadfast support to you in various meaningful ways and may even bestow truly special and profound blessings upon you, which then opens up your inner wisdom and understanding. As a result, the content of many exoteric and esoteric scriptures will naturally manifest. For example, many of you may have already heard of the renowned and influential great scholar Asanga, a significant figure. Previously, we also talked about Vasubandhu, the author of the Abhidharmakosha. In fact, he is widely known as the second Buddha, and his most outstanding disciple even surpassed him in his profound understanding of the Abhidharmakosha. This renowned scholar, Asanga, also had an exceptionally special connection with the revered Tara. This significant connection refers to Asanga's previous life. This has also been mentioned in some historical stories from the past. At that time, when Vasubandhu was memorizing the compendium of Prajnaparamita verses, there was a pigeon under the eaves of his roof. This particular pigeon would often attentively hear the gentle sound of the diligent scholar reciting sacred scriptures directly below. Occasionally, this pigeon, sometimes due to its virtuous roots, would joyfully listen attentively under the eaves. Sometimes under the eaves, it would respectfully and humbly lower its head. There is also such an account. Later, because of this connection, it planted virtuous roots in its mind stream. After it had completely left this world, it was then reborn as a very young child. It was also apparently in a Brahmin family or something like that. But it was in a country different from that of Master Vasubandhu. At that time, Master Vasubandhu was in what is now Bangladesh. From a young age, basically as soon as the child could speak, he said, "My teacher is Master Vasubandhu." His parents were extremely surprised at the time. They had never heard of this so-called Master Vasubandhu and had no idea who he was. Every time he would say, "I want to go to Bangladesh to see my teacher." He kept saying this since he was little, and after many years of inquiring, they finally learned that there was a particularly famous person called Master Vasubandhu. Later, when the child was 7 years old, they took him to Master Vasubandhu, and the parents entrusted him to Master Vasubandhu's care. Because between Master Vasubandhu and the child, there was a connection from a previous life. In fact, some teacher-student relationships, some people really do have karmic connections from past lives. After meeting each other in this lifetime, they shared some common and significant undertakings. This is also a very profound karmic connection, intricately woven within the continuous cycle of samsara. During the time he diligently studied under Master Vasubandhu, he was especially diligent, wise, and his compassion was also extremely strong. Because in his previous life he had listened to many Prajnaparamita sutras, his memory was good. Every single day he earnestly and properly followed his esteemed master Vasubandhu in his profound and diligent studies. Not long after, there was a significant occasion during the customary distribution of food, and the bright 7-year-old child, the venerable Master An Hui, received a generous handful of fresh green peas. These particular peas, in actual fact, were his very own, and had been carefully cultivated and harvested by him. And in Tibet it was also like this, barley and peas in the past. After receiving them, children would keep eating continuously without stopping. He kept eating and eating. But then the young child thoughtfully considered the sacred and cherished image of Tara that he especially held dear. He thought, it doesn't seem quite right for me to eat all of this by myself. I should offer some to Tara. So he ran to the sacred image of Tara to make an offering. As he was making the offering, he sincerely wished that Tara would accept each and every single pea. But who would have ever thought, because the statue of Tara was quite smooth and polished, as he tried to offer the peas, they all unfortunately fell to the ground. Tara did not appear to accept them, and at that very moment he felt rather upset and disheartened. But when the scattered peas fell beneath the ancient statue, many hungry mice came and kept frantically picking up the precious peas, and they kept persistently at it. The aggressive mice even started violently fighting, loudly squeaking as they fought. In the end, all the peas he had in his hand had been offered. Not a single one remained on Tara's body, nor on the ground. All of them had been carefully picked up by the small, scurrying mice that emerged from the deep darkness. Then he became very sad and started to cry. He said, "Blessed Tara, I devotedly offered so many precious peas to you, but you didn't receive any, and I didn't get to eat any myself either." Actually, when I carefully think about this profound story, even someone as highly renowned as the great master Asanga, when he was a very young child, he still showed some rather childish behavior. So, when some devout Buddhists first start out, including when they reverently talk to their personal yidam or make solemn vows, they often engage in deep reflection. There are often many things that are rather amusing, but this is understandable. Even someone like Master Asanga, the world's most famous commentator on the Abhidharmakosha, later, when he was writing his commentary on the Abhidharmakosha, many of his views were considered to be beyond even his teacher's understanding. Later, as he went on to provide further explanations, he became truly remarkable. But at that time, in front of Tara, he was especially heartbroken. He felt that Tara hadn't accepted his offering, and he himself hadn't eaten any either. Everything was taken away by the mice, and he cried very sadly. Later, Tara appeared and spoke to him, saying, "My dear child, please don't be sad. In actual fact, I truly did accept your heartfelt offering. From this moment on, I will always, always bless you. I will continuously bless you." Tara appeared and spoke to him. After she miraculously appeared and spoke to him directly, from that transformative moment on, his profound wisdom completely blossomed. He never forgot any sacred scripture he carefully read again. It turned out that he had a karmic connection from a previous life. However, after being wholeheartedly accepted by Tara herself and by the enlightened Dakinis, his profound wisdom became completely and remarkably different. Subsequently, he then began to meticulously compose extensive treatises and diligently work to establish a comprehensive school. His contributions to Buddhism were immense. It is widely said that this sacred image of Tara is called Masha Tara. The term Masha means pea, so it is also commonly called Pea Tara. There is indeed such a saying about Tara as well. It is said that this sacred image still exists in history. From this profound story and from history, we can also clearly see that whoever has an especially devoted faith in Tara, her profound wisdom will naturally merge with theirs. No matter whether we go to a monastery or anywhere else, her influence will be felt. Especially if you visit a Tibetan Buddhist monastery, you will basically find a sacred and revered image of Tara in the main hall of the monastery. I've been thinking about this for the past couple of days, probably because I've been talking about Tara recently. As for myself, I've been reciting Tara's prayers since I was a child. I should have faith in Tara, but recently my faith has grown even stronger. The other day I said, now in the main hall we must install a statue of Tara. I told them this, and basically we've reached a consensus. In our institute we used to have some, including beautiful murals and such. In the future, Whenever we visit any sacred monastery and see the revered Tara, we should pray even more sincerely and with profound devotion. Whatever wishes we may deeply harbor, whether in this present life or the next, any heartfelt aspiration can be fulfilled. This is what I wanted to briefly mention earlier about the story of Master Anhui. Next, the text elaborates on that particular day it appeared, offering profound praise to the Nirmanakaya Tara in a distinctly wrathful and powerful manner. Among the 7 significant sections of this comprehensive outline, we are now precisely at the 4th, praising the Holy Tara for her compassionate ability in dispelling poverty and alleviating suffering. This profound verse is homage to the Holy Tara, who effectively dispels all obstacles, who can powerfully summon all earth-protecting deities and guardians. With a slight frown and hair standing on end, radiating the brilliant light of the sacred syllable hum, she effectively eliminates all forms of poverty and suffering. That is to say, this is an expression of homage to the Holy Tara, who powerfully dispels all obstacles. This means that all types of disasters, all misfortunes, and all negative circumstances can indeed be entirely and completely dispelled by the compassionate and powerful presence of this revered Tara. She is able to effortlessly summon or attract all the extremely powerful and benevolent earth-protecting deities. In fact, these highly significant earth-protecting deities include the mighty Indra, the revered 8 classes of Devas and Nagas, and many others. There are also, in the broader worldly sense, the influential 5 celestial planets, the brilliant radiant sun, the luminous moon, and so forth. These are truly the most prestigious and revered celestial deities in the entire world. They are the powerful and benevolent gods who diligently protect and safeguard the earth. Earth gods, land gods, water gods, as well as mountain gods, and so on. All of these benevolent deities are able to offer profound and unwavering protection by relying entirely on the immense and boundless power of Tara. Therefore, no matter where we choose to go, for example, sometimes when we are deeply afraid to walk alone at night, or when you venture into a rather perilous and potentially dangerous place, at that particular time, as long as you can just recall the memory of Tara, she can effectively dispel all the immense suffering and profound distress in such challenging and difficult situations. Her powerful and significant appearance also carries a profound spiritual meaning, although it is not exactly the same as the wrathful forms often depicted in Vajrayana Buddhism. But she has a deeply furrowed brow, clearly showing a profoundly and intensely wrathful expression. Her entire countenance, from her eyes to her mouth, unmistakably carries this distinctly wrathful and somewhat menacing appearance, making her displeasure quite evident to anyone observing her. Her body color is a striking and vibrant red-yellow, or you could also accurately and precisely say it is a luminous orange-yellow. Her right hand, held with grace and intention, also forms the very same supreme giving mudra as observed before, a gesture of profound generosity and boundless compassion. On the beautifully rendered lotus flower in her left hand, there should be a magnificent and intricately designed treasure vase, overflowing with precious jewels and auspicious symbols. A light radiates from the syllable hum at her very own heart. This radiant light profoundly dispels all the immense and accumulated wealth in the entire world. All the countless blessings and profound merits that exist within the world are all comprehensively gathered together by its brilliant presence. Furthermore, it completely eradicates and dispels all forms of deep-seated poverty and widespread suffering that afflict humanity throughout the world. Therefore, generally speaking, when you recite Tara's mantra, especially this Tara who dispels obstacles, she is a deity of wealth practice. Many people, especially, truly want to get rich and earnestly insist that I teach them the profound yellow Jambala practice, which is highly revered. For the past 20 years, people have always asked me to teach the yellow Jambala practice. I have never actually taught it. I thought maybe I'll eventually teach it at the very end of the course, because sometimes it's hard to say whether wealth is beneficial or harmful to people. For practitioners, once they have more wealth, their minds become distracted and their practice deteriorates. This even happens in our own institute. Some people who are relatively wealthy often encounter various obstacles. However, those without significant wealth tend to practice in a much purer way. For ordinary lay people outside, it's a somewhat different situation. Lay people do, in fact, sometimes need some merit and good fortune. Without merit and good fortune, there are also certain difficulties. Today, we also extensively transmitted the profound practice of the wealth deity, which primarily involves devoutly praying to the revered Tara. By diligently praying to Tara and relying wholeheartedly on her benevolent blessings, our financial luck will naturally and steadily improve. If we have good financial luck, then genuine happiness will also follow accordingly and naturally. Actually, by devotedly relying on blessed Tara, I think I clearly mentioned this before when teaching the important words of my perfect teacher. I also told an inspiring story from the remote Tibetan area. There was once a very, very poor and unfortunate child. His loving parents had long since passed away tragically, and he himself lived in extremely harsh poverty. He was often cruelly bullied by others and had absolutely nothing to eat or wear properly. Every single day he slept out in the cold open fields alone. Nearby there was an ancient revered stone statue of Tara. He deeply regarded this sacred statue of Tara as his own beloved mother. Because this poor young orphan had no living parents, he would often treat blessed Tara as his own loving mother figure. Then, one terrible time, many cruel children started to relentlessly and mercilessly bully him. He was truly and deeply heartbroken inside. Then he desperately hugged the cold statue, calling it mother, and kept crying sorrowfully. You see, over there's another child crying too. He kept crying and crying continuously. Later, the miraculous statue embraced the lonely child as well, and compassionate Tara began to... He cried, "Why is my life so very bitter? I have no wealth, and others often bully me too." Then Tara, with a compassionate heart, told him, "I will generously give you these precious ornaments of mine." She continued, "Please do not be sad. From this moment forward, you will never again have to suffer this kind of profound pain." Later, when he actually returned, everyone present could clearly see the magnificent gold and silver jewelry necklaces he had acquired. Others asked, "Where did you get these?" He said, "My mother gave them to me." They said, "Oh, didn't your mother pass away long ago? Where is she?" He replied, "It was Mother Tara." Then, when they went to look, the necklace and ornaments on Tara's statue were all gone. There were also no discernible marks left by any stone carving tools or implements. From then on, he never parted from good fortune and abundant merit. Some people, especially those with very strong individualistic thoughts and beliefs, might genuinely wonder if this is just a myth. There are indeed such doubts and questions. But in reality, there are indeed many cases everywhere that are especially miraculous. Of course, it's not entirely possible for every individual to have such profound experiences, so we should also keep that important fact in mind. There was also a wise Brahmin in the past who was extremely impoverished and destitute. In India, there's a well-known saying about this situation. As he was walking along the dusty road, he kept thinking and pondering, "When will I ever have even a little bit of wealth?" Later, by the roadside, he saw a statue of Tara. He earnestly prayed to her, asking for material wealth and prosperity. After praying for much-needed wealth, she compassionately told him to go to a sacred stupa in the distant east. As a miraculous result, when he faithfully went to the ancient stupa, he discovered a magnificent treasure buried deep underground. He was completely freed from all financial hardship and poverty for the entire remainder of his life. Indeed, there are quite a significant number of such inspiring and remarkable stories that exist. I think many Dharma friends can also look into this matter in the future as well, which we can see that what kinds of stories there are about praying to Tara. In ancient times, there was also another individual residing in India who was exceedingly impoverished. This person consistently kept trying to discover and implement various effective ways to successfully obtain significant wealth. Subsequently, the divine Tara manifested herself in the form of a compassionate woman and directly instructed him to proceed towards the east. So he steadily kept heading onward east. On one particular occasion, he unexpectedly fell into a deep slumber within the vast and desolate desert wilderness. When he woke up, he had some special feelings. Then he cautiously opened a magnificent golden door directly in front of him. After entering, he immediately found himself standing within the grand and opulent Dragon King's palace. He enjoyed great wealth there and lived for many years. Later, when he returned to the human world, he was surprised to find that 3 generations of kings had already passed in the human world. 3 lifetimes had gone by, and he himself was now completely wealthy. These are all very true and accurate historical accounts. I think that in the foreseeable future, there will indeed be many devout people in the Han region as well, just as there were many devoted people in Tibetan area in the past who, after earnestly praying to the revered Tara, will experience profound spiritual insights. In a very short time, naturally obtained all the wealth and abundant prosperity they truly desired. There are indeed many such profound and illustrative stories that highlight this principle. Therefore, I am led to believe that some sentient beings in their previous lives genuinely did not practice generosity or cultivate the virtue of giving, and as a direct and unfortunate consequence, they experience much significant and pervasive poverty in this current life. However, this particular kind of poverty, on the one hand, we should diligently create virtuous deeds. On the other hand, we should make aspirations and prayers ourselves. In this way, when the right conditions and circumstances come together, these sufferings can be effectively and completely dispelled. Next is the fifth point, praising with the crown ornament of the class leader, which is a very significant and important aspect to consider. This should be the fifth section, right? Prostrate to the mother adorned with a crescent moon crown, whose every ornament shines brilliantly. From the Ushnisha of Amitabha Buddha, she gracefully appears, her constant and brilliant radiance the most dazzling and truly magnificent. She is widely called the auspicious Tara, or you could also appropriately call her the auspicious Tara. To which Tara do we reverently prostrate? It is the crescent moon Tara, the one who brings great blessings, who has the exquisite form of a luminous crescent moon gracefully positioned on her resplendent crown, adorned with such profoundly majestic and awe-inspiring features upon her noble head. All the magnificent and intricately crafted ornaments gracing her divine body are exceptionally dazzling, remarkably striking, supremely majestic, and breathtakingly beautiful. Anyone who is fortunate enough to behold her glorious presence will undoubtedly give rise to an incomparable and profound sense of joy and wonder. At the very top of her head, the revered Amitabha Buddha appears in the sacred form of a lineage deity. Generally speaking, some yellow taras also possess this particular feature. I can clearly see that the green tara behind me, positioned directly on her head, also has a very tiny yet distinct ornament of the Amitabha Buddha, a revered figure, on her crown. In her hair bun, there is a very small, intricately detailed Amitabha Buddha. Can you truly perceive what is before you? Engage your visual senses and allow your eyes to fully absorb the details. Are you able to discern the intricate elements and subtle nuances present? At the very apex, positioned majestically above all, resides the revered Amitabha Buddha, a figure of profound spiritual significance and boundless compassion. Such is the extraordinary and brilliant radiance emanating from her eternal luminous body, a divine glow that perpetually shines forth with unparalleled splendor and grace, illuminating all that it touches with its sacred light and profound spiritual energy, which effectively dispels the mental illnesses and all the sufferings of all sentient beings, and brings forth all worldly and transcendental happiness, profound joy, and ultimate auspiciousness and good fortune. This is truly called the auspicious Tara, the most blessed and revered one. No matter who you are, whether it's your family or your life, and if you truly wish for many significant endeavors to be successfully fulfilled, to experience a good beginning and a prosperous end, and for everything to be auspicious and precisely as you wish, then you should recite the sacred mantra of this Tara. This benevolent Tara generally holds an auspicious knot in her hand, and indeed there should be a prominent auspicious knot clearly visible on top. Especially in our everyday daily lives, any difficult situation you encounter can be profoundly transformed into auspiciousness. Adverse conditions can truly turn into favorable ones. Suffering can be transmuted into genuine happiness, and all inauspicious things can become completely perfect and ideal. We all know that compassionate Tara and the profound Pure Land teachings actually have a very deep and interconnected spiritual connection. This important point is also explicitly mentioned in the Venerable Kyabje Rinpoche's Aspiration of Sukhavati. It says that from Amitabha Buddha's right hand, light radiates and transforms into countless Avalokiteshvara bodhisattvas, and from his left hand, light radiates and transforms into Tara. From his heart, light radiates and transforms into countless Guru Padmasambhava. This is also described in the Aspiration of Sukhavati. Therefore, those who deeply aspire to be reborn in the Pure Land also fervently pray to Tara. At the crucial time of your passing, all those non-human beings that are unfavorable to a peaceful rebirth or any potential harm from malevolent spirits and powerful deities are all completely and effectively dispelled one by one. Many great spiritual masters, including when they prepare to leave this world and transition to the next existence, also receive the profound blessings of Tara and Amitabha Buddha. Some devoted practitioners even have their sacred relics, after passing away, transform into beautiful images of Tara. I distinctly remember before, in my brief introduction to rainbow body attainment in Vajrayana, there was indeed a revered master named Pema Gyatso who was quite notable. who was also from the Gaze region. It seems he passed away in 1997. When he passed away in 1997, he was actually a disciple of His Holiness. Later, at the time of his passing, he sat in the posture of Dzogchen's resting in the nature of mind, recited the syllable Pa 3 times, and then manifested parinirvana. Later, according to the monks from their monastery, who personally told me, they said his body visibly shrank to a very, very small size, about 1 cubit in length. After the cremation, there were especially many precious relics indeed left behind. Furthermore, specifically, there was one remarkably small relic that had the exact form of green Tara. Among the ancient relics, there was one particular artifact in the distinct shape of the revered green Tara. I was thinking, at the time of his passing, it must have been related to the Tara practice. I hadn't heard that he practiced the Tara sadhana, but it should be clearly stated that many of these truly great masters, the ones who really excelled throughout their lives, recite the Tara practice every day. There are especially many like this in Tibetan area, including some who are not great masters. Even very ordinary women and lay people throughout their entire lives spend their whole lives diligently reciting Tara's sacred name and the profound aspiration of Sukhavati. There are especially many individuals like this in Tibetan area. I think that at the crucial time of death, why did his relics all manifest as Tara? It should have some connection with being reborn in the pure land of ultimate bliss. In the aspiration of Sukhavati, it is also sometimes mentioned that after being reborn in the pure land of ultimate bliss, one can go to Tara's pure land or to some pure lands in the east. Tara also has her own different pure lands, but regarding these pure lands, our precious His Holiness also spoke about them, including the pure lands of Manjushri and Akshobhya Buddha's pure lands. From a broader perspective, they can be included within the pure land of ultimate bliss. Because in the pure land of ultimate bliss, all the bodhisattvas go to various pure and impure lands to benefit sentient beings, and then return to the pure land of ultimate bliss. Such phenomena exist, so we, including Dharma friends who practice the Pure Land teachings, should not think that perhaps practicing Tara's teachings is only part of Tibetan Buddhism. We practice the Pure Land school, but nowadays a very small number of Pure Land practitioners still have rather closed-minded views. To be completely and utterly honest, even though we are already living in the 21st century, and humanity's remarkable progress has inevitably entered such a profound and transformative era where every single aspect of the world, all worldly things, including fundamental ideas and much of our culture, must truly and diligently keep up with the rapidly changing times. Yet the thinking of a very small number of Buddhists still remains stuck in the 1970s and 1980s. Some have not even moved beyond the 20th century. Of course, we are not saying that we should completely go along with worldly ways and become corrupted. But in some respects, Buddhism truly can adopt a more inclusive attitude. Moreover, the teachings of Buddhism, regardless of which particular school they belong to, are all completely harmonious and without any contradiction whatsoever. Therefore, for those who practice the Pure Land method, I sincerely hope you will also very sincerely pray to Tara. There will be nothing that is disadvantageous to you. If you do not pray, it is true that in this degenerate age, there are many obstacles and demonic interferences that are extremely rampant. I feel that without the presence of Dharma protectors and without the powerful and profound blessings of the Dakinis and the protectors, relying solely on reciting the Buddha's name or on one's own personal practice alone is insufficient. It is indeed quite difficult to overcome all obstacles and demonic interferences. Therefore, every practitioner on one hand relies on their own strong willpower, and at the same time we also rely on the blessings of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to serve as our constant and reliable support and unwavering backing. In this sacred way, our dedicated and diligent spiritual practice will undoubtedly succeed and will certainly not culminate in total failure whatsoever. Next, we shall carefully proceed to the 6th crucial point, praising the profound subjugation of wild and untamed beings. Homage to the blazing and resplendent Aryatara, who, like the all-consuming and transformative fire at the end of a cosmic eon, radiantly wears a magnificent and brilliant garland of pure light, illuminating all directions. With her right leg gracefully extended and left leg bent in a joyful posture, she powerfully destroys all enemy armies. This powerful manifestation of Tara is called the blazing Arya Tara, or you could alternatively say the fierce Tara who completely conquers all enemy armies, also known as the fearsome enemy subduing Tara. This wrathful Tara appears amidst intense blazing flames. Her sacred body color should be a vibrant crimson red, and her sacred mudra on the pristine lotus, there should be a brilliant vajra, Some ancient traditions say there should indeed be one. So what does she truly look like? That is to say, relying on her incredibly powerful external flames, she effectively dispels many malevolent evil spirits and various dangerous heretical forces. Their trapped consciousness can be completely liberated and peacefully merged into a blissful Pure Land. Her magnificent flames are exactly like the all-consuming fire at the end of a cosmic eon. She dwells within a brilliant radiance, much like the apocalyptic fire. These intense flames effectively prevent many external conditions from finding any opportunity to interfere with her, including those who indeed practice this Tara themselves. It always serves as an outer protective wheel, a Vajra garland. For those devoted practitioners who engage in the Tara sadhana, we often emphatically state that many external enemies and harmful beings simply cannot enter. Her posture is distinctly characterized by her right leg being extended and her left leg being gracefully bent. She assumes a joyful posture. In fact, this joyful posture is a way of subduing peaceful beings through the turning of the Dharma wheel. She also has a powerful manifestation form that is completely surrounded by blazing fire and appears intensely wrathful. This fierce protective form can utterly destroy all dangerous external enemies, both human and non-human. In this degenerate age, we often need to practice such wrathful methods. Wrathful practices include, for example, practicing Vajrakilaya or Wrathful Guru Rinpoche, as well as Yamantaka and others. These spiritual practices are, in fact, also profound manifestations of Tara. Practicing such beneficial methods is also extremely auspicious and brings forth great blessings. Here it says right leg extended, left leg bent. Earlier, it seemed that the seventh Tara was right leg bent, left leg extended. In Thangka paintings, it often appears that the sitting posture is the same. But here, perhaps, in other established practices, there might also be significant and quite notable differences that are worth considering. I noticed earlier as well that according to the description, the sitting posture should actually be the opposite of this. However, most of Tara's sitting postures are basically the same. This is not a mere typo, so everyone should carefully remember this important point. After diligently practicing this profound Tara, many significant obstacles and various enemies can be effectively eliminated one by one. In the distant past, it was widely recounted that a king of Ojikpa found himself deep within a dense forest. Suddenly, his formidable enemies appeared. Thousands of troops and horses stood before him. These adversaries were armed with all kinds of formidable weapons, meticulously prepared and ready to use them at a moment's notice. At that very moment, he was utterly and profoundly terrified, truly frightened to his core. He was truly out of options and desperate, so at that moment he began to pray to Tara. With the divine blessing of Tara, a truly fierce and powerful wind immediately arose, forcefully blowing all those enemy troops back to their very own country. So, we often contemplate, in this current degenerate age, in 2012, countries everywhere are constantly embroiled in wars and turmoil. At such critical times, everyone should carefully focus on protecting themselves first. As for external enemies, they are not always entirely harmful beings. We should compassionately use skillful means to help them find genuine happiness. Some Dharma friends often ask, if Buddhists are always cultivating bodhicitta, then what should you do if the enemy comes at you with weapons and attacks you? Actually, if we truly have faith, by reciting prayers to Tara through this kind of supplication, we should also be able to allow the other side to return to their very own land on their own. Such things can indeed truly happen. In the past, there were many such stories and narratives in Tibet as well. For example, when you find yourself in a truly perilous situation or real danger at the very end, you immediately begin to recite prayers to the revered Tara, and miraculously, all these obstacles will be dispelled. If you don't, and instead develop wrong views, at such times, all kinds of obstacles will certainly arise. I once read that Chen Jianmin mentioned a lay practitioner who, under the influence of his grandmother, had deep faith in Tara since childhood. Whenever he encountered even a little danger, he would recite prayers to Tara. Throughout his whole life, everything went very smoothly for him. Once he had to go to a particularly dangerous place. At that time, he thought to himself, This time, I won't recite Tara's name. Let's see what harm comes. If something happens, so be it. He developed this kind of wrong thought. As a result, robbers appeared and took away all his wealth. In the end, when he recalled Tara, his life was spared from harm. But aside from that, everything else was completely stolen indeed. Later on, it seems that this particular account was indeed mentioned in an English source. So sometimes when we are truly and deeply very afraid, it is still very important and beneficial to sincerely recite Tara's sacred name. I distinctly remember a particular occasion when I was attending middle school, a time that coincided with the late afternoon, just as the sun was preparing to descend and set. There was an old, somewhat broken telephone situated quite close to our residence. Unexpectedly, a call came through to our house, and to my surprise, it was specifically intended for me. Then, when I answered the phone, it was someone from our team, someone I was quite familiar with. He said, "Your father is seriously ill, and you truly need to come back quickly." After that, it seemed like the phone broke or something. There was no sound anymore. Later, I thought my father must have already passed away. The sun had already set, so I started walking back home. As I was walking back, when I was approximately halfway along the road, it was already completely dark. I truly couldn't see anything at all. I passed by many places ahead that, in our local area, were considered especially frightening, and many people had died there. People would say that even during the day you could see corpses and all sorts of things. Even during the bright light of day, there were unsettling stories of deceased corpses rising and eerily talking. And not long ago, someone had tragically hanged himself on a prominent tree there and died. Despite these ominous tales, I had to walk down this very road. So I went through there at night. I thought to myself, if I don't make it home tonight, my father will definitely have died, and I might not get another chance. As I walked down that road, it truly felt to me at that moment in time that in the entire world there was absolutely no sound at all except for my own distinct footsteps. Whenever I felt even a little bit scared, I thought, because I was quite familiar with the person ahead of me, his face kept appearing before my eyes. So I kept praying to Tara, but I was extremely afraid, and finally made it through that long and winding road. After I got past that challenging road, I didn't even dare to look back, constantly wondering if that person might still be following me closely. But when I got home, actually, there was nothing unusual at all. It seemed like there was even something happy at home that brought me back. They were probably afraid they wouldn't be able to get leave, so they tried to scare me. As a result, I actually started crying. I said, at night like this, it was around 3 o'clock in the early morning when I finally got back home. At that particular time, I remember it quite clearly. I truly felt it was Tara's blessing. Otherwise, if I had heard even the slightest sound in that place, I might have gotten a little bit scared, let alone by ghosts or spirits. Even ordinary, everyday sounds might have truly scared me a lot. Because that road was very narrow, and at night you could barely see anything. It was truly that kind of challenging mountain path, so it left a very deep and lasting impression on me. That's precisely why, in our daily lives, I often find myself thinking of Tara. All these various fears and all kinds of significant obstacles can be effectively dispelled by relying wholeheartedly on Tara. There was also in the past, probably in Kashmir, a truly remarkable master named Lysen. He was a national preceptor, thoroughly versed in both the exoteric and esoteric teachings. Later, over the course of his life, he established 500 monasteries, a significant achievement. Historically, this was truly a remarkable achievement, 500 monasteries. Later on, because at that time in Kashmir there was a religion called Dashijiao. Dashijiao was a religion different from Buddhism. This Dashijiao, many of its devoted followers actually took refuge in Lysen, seeking a safe haven. At that particular time, the powerful king of Dashijiao was especially displeased by these developments and eventually ordered his imprisonment. After he was locked up, he quietly recited sacred prayers to Tara while in prison. Every time he chanted to Tara, all the iron chains on his body would miraculously turn into garlands of beautiful flowers. This happened 7 times, with all the iron chains melting and transforming into flower garlands. Eventually, the king became very frightened as well. At first, the king demanded that he must abandon his own religion. Just like the story of a lay practitioner mentioned in Words of My Perfect Teacher, at that time he said, "I will never abandon my Buddhism. I will not convert to another faith or join any other religion." He would rather die than do so. Later, while imprisoned, he was subjected to a series of severe punishments, and after enduring these punishments, he fervently prayed to Tara, and as a direct result of his earnest prayers, even the severe torments he endured ultimately turned into auspicious signs and positive omens. Later, the powerful king also became very afraid and took refuge in front of him. During the tumultuous Cultural Revolution, many practitioners in prison would often devoutly recite prayers to Tara. Through this blessing, they were truly able to free themselves from obstacles and suffering. Moreover, it inspired genuine faith not only in the enemy forces but also in others. There are actually countless such stories. I think as practitioners, we don't need to say much with our mouths. What really matters is that we have genuine faith ourselves. At all times, we should rely on Tara as our yidam or dakini. Throughout our lives, whenever we have the opportunity and time, we should diligently pray to her. She will undoubtedly grant us various profound siddhis. Of course, Tara is not like some ordinary worldly earth gods or common land spirits. If it is a worldly land spirit, then, when we make offerings to them and pray to them frequently, they will still grant you certain blessings or accomplishments. However, if we ever break off or completely forget about them, then what will truly happen? They become displeased and may even punish you in some way. Worldly earth gods are, in many respects, quite similar to this, much like ordinary people in the world. If you cultivate a genuinely good relationship with them, they are often exceedingly happy and content. However, if the relationship is not particularly strong or becomes strained, in the end, they will inevitably adopt a rather negative attitude toward you. Tara is absolutely not like this. She is always watching over sentient beings at every moment. However, in the process of watching over sentient beings, if we ourselves lack faith, if we do not pray, do not recite, and do not make offerings, then the blessings that we receive will come more slowly, or we may not even truly notice them at all. But if anyone has an especially strong and unwavering faith and a profound and abiding joy, then the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, especially the blessings of Tara, will come even more swiftly. So I truly think, regarding our current and ongoing promotion of Tara, from the profound perspective of dependent origination, I genuinely feel it is extremely auspicious. Our Buddhist Institute has been established for over 30 years. This year should be the 32nd year, and during this time, we have basically never held a Tara Puja separately. Yesterday we held one, and the Institute also relied on this. On one hand, it is to pray for Lama Mencho to have a long life. On the other hand, it is to dispel all kinds of significant disasters in the world. Especially nowadays, there are so many devastating disasters. Tsunamis, powerful earthquakes, horrific terrorist attacks, and SARS outbreaks, all sorts of terrible things over the past few years, as you all know, such as snow disasters and various other calamities. If there are so many disasters in the external world, actually, each one of us also frequently experiences inner disasters within ourselves. This includes many practitioners. Sometimes they feel down, sometimes their health is poor, sometimes their career isn't going well, sometimes there is disharmony in the family, and so on. Various kinds of issues. Some people have also told me, why have these kinds of sufferings been happening so frequently, over and over in recent years? Nothing seems to go smoothly. It seems that nowadays in the world, very few people consider themselves truly happy or truly fortunate. Except for monastics. Monastics are still doing relatively okay. Some to be muddling through in a daze, some experiencing a state of realization. In resting in the nature of mind, the great perfection, it describes hazy, dreamlike state. Perhaps some monastics are in this kind of great perfection like hazy state, or in such a state which is still considered acceptable. Many lay people, including some who on the surface seem to be doing well nowadays, for example in terms of the overall economy and other aspects in Han regions, compared to other countries, it should be considered quite good. But countries that used to be particularly strong, like the United States, Japan, and even Singapore, have experienced many financial crises. Now, whether it's the overall national strength or the economic situation, many aspects are currently on a noticeable decline. It's a particularly tense and challenging era. The current situation in many cities across the nation is also quite tense and fraught with difficulties. Every day, life compared to 20 years ago, psychologically, waves of intense panic keep emerging continually. Physically as well, people are increasingly unable to keep up with the times. In actual fact, living for several long decades can indeed be very, very exhausting at certain times, It can really be quite a challenge. I've heard that some people, after seeing a charnel ground, simply can't take it and immediately want to become monastics. But isn't that perhaps a little bit too hasty, don't you think? But no matter what the circumstances, sometimes when we truly observe these things, apart from the profound Dharma, it's really quite difficult to find much light or guidance. So I think it's important to consider this deeply. I hope everyone can take the Tara practice as something for your whole life, a practice for dispelling obstacles and cultivating favorable conditions. Of course, this is also beneficial for your spiritual practice. Especially now, many young people in the Han region are experiencing all kinds of suffering in various aspects of their lives. At such times, relying on Tara's blessings can immediately and effectively dispel any lingering feelings of disquiet or imbalance within the mind. A profound and pervasive sense of Dharma joy and an enduring feeling of deep happiness will then naturally and spontaneously arise within you. All right, I'll stop here for today.
Jupun Sonen Droa Droa Sho
Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye